Hello everyone. Please let me know if I'm audible. Am I audible everyone? Thank you Priyanka. So it's 4:59. Let us just wait for 5 and then we can start with the session. Hi Neha. Okay, so it's 5 o'clock. So let us start with our session. Hello everyone and welcome to today's session on colorectal cancer awareness. I'm Prachi, Head Nutritionist and Lifestyle Expert and Head of Cancer Vertical with Team Luke. Before we begin, let me mention that for the ease of communication, I shall refer to colorectal cancer as CRC in the session. So today we shall talk about what colorectal cancer is, the key commonalities that we have come across with our CRC patients, and also discuss about the importance of lifestyle in its recovery and prevention. So colorectal cancer or CRC is simply the cancer of the colon or the large intestine or bowel that we call, and of the rectum, which is the end part of the colon. It is the third most common cancer diagnosed in both men and women worldwide and is in fact increasing at an alarming rate, especially among younger adults. So what has changed so drastically in this population? It is certainly their lifestyle, meaning their daily habits, the routine that they follow for many years, the way they eat, drink, sleep, move or stay sedentary, the way they handle their emotions and stressors in life. No doubt, like other cancers, CRC is multifactorial too. But there is enough evidence by now suggesting that most of the times the root cause lies in our own lifestyle. Poor lifestyle habits have a huge impact on our immunity and can lead to inflammation chronically, which can make one more susceptible to a gene mutation or turning the cancer gene on, leading to CRC. Hence, if we can work on these lifestyle related key commonalities or risk factors, CRC is very much preventable and can help with better recovery as well. In fact, the month of March is regarded as colorectal cancer awareness month. Hence, all the more we thought of doing this special session to help make you all more aware of these key commonalities for better prevention and management of CRC. Let us now have a look at these commonalities one by one. The first and the most important commonality is compromised gut health. We cannot stress enough on the crucial role gut health plays, especially in building immunity. You would be surprised to know that our gut controls about 75 to 80% of our immunity, and thus a compromised gut can weaken immunity and increase susceptibility to get CRC, that is colorectal cancer. Normally, the waste matter which needs to be thrown out of the body moves from the colon to the rectum, where it is stored until it passes out through the anus as stools by defecation. But in case of chronic constipation, what happens is all this waste which should ideally be thrown out of the body regularly gets accumulated and stored in the colon, such that the toxic wastes and gases are then reabsorbed in the body and get back into our circulation, in turn increasing inflammation and toxicity in the body. And this is what increases the risk of CRC. The other most common gut issue is excessive and chronic acidity, which again leads to excess inflammation, and chronic inflammation in turn, as we know, favors growth of cancer cells. In fact, I had this case of a 35-year-old male with colon cancer who suffered from constipation since childhood. But it was not a big deal for him until, of course, he was diagnosed with cancer. He used to live with it or sometimes just take some laxatives randomly, thinking it is all that is needed to take care of constipation or rather heal the root cause. But these are just temporary fixes. We are so busy in a fast paced life today that we just tend to either pop antacids, laxatives, or painkillers thinking it is fixing the issue and just ignore it. But what we do not realize is that our body is giving these warning signs which need to be addressed and worked upon by looking at the root cause and manage it at the earliest. Like for constipation, lifestyle habits, as simple as lack of water intake, fiber intake, or improper food habits could be the issues that need to be fixed first. Here I would also like to mention that symptoms like constipation, recurrent diarrhea, excessive abdominal cramps, pain, blood in stools could be some of the indicators of CRC. Hence, please do not ignore them to help with early screening and diagnosis. Also, to make a note in case of gut issues is that people with inflammatory bowel disease, which is IBD, including Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, which involves chronic and excessive inflammation of the colon, are also more susceptible to getting CRC. Hence, it is important to manage these disorders on time and in a holistic way. In fact, Luke and our team have made many videos on such gut related issues. You all can definitely watch them separately to help with holistic and effective management of these issues. The next commonality is, many of my clients are always quite surprised knowing the connection it has with CRC. I'm talking about chronic sleep deprivation. Are you surprised too? What has my sleep got to do with my colon health, right? But let me tell you, there is a deep and important connection. Firstly, all of the healing, recovery, detoxification, hormonal balance that goes on in our body to build immunity takes place only while we sleep. Also, the other factor is the melatonin hormone, which is not only the sleep hormone but also a potent anti-cancer hormone. But if sleep is compromised, the levels of melatonin also seems to go low, which can weaken immunity and thus increase susceptibility to CRC. Hence, a good quality and quantity of sleep is extremely essential. Completing a good deep sleep so that you feel rested on wake up the next day and maintaining a regular sleep pattern is important. Coming to the next commonality, it's about unhealthy eating habits. It has been found that having a food routine high in refined white sugar, salt, saturated and trans fat, non-veg and processed meats, and which is low on fiber, fruits, veggies, whole grains, was found to increase the risk of CRC. So firstly, we need to strictly stop having refined white sugar completely, because cancer cells feed on sugar. It is quite a known fact now. Also, it increases inflammation and makes the body extremely acidic, thus weakening immunity. Okay, you will avoid white sugar. But what about the hidden forms of sugar? So it is very important to be aware of these hidden forms of sugar as well. Get into the habit of reading food labels. You may come across words like high fructose corn syrup, malt syrup, cane crystals, cane sugar, maltodextrin, and so on these packaged foods, all of which are forms of sugar. Hence, we need to be watchful of the same. One can instead opt for natural sweeteners like organic jaggery, raw honey, dates, dried stevia leaves, but of course in moderation. Also, we need to avoid or restrict things made out of refined white flour, which is maida, like biscuits, pizzas, pastas, bakery items, and so on. We can very well make and opt for the healthier and in fact interesting versions of these food items, for which you can check the recipe corner on our website for the same. I shall share the link in the chat section later. Now coming to aerated drinks. I know so many people who when thirsty opt for such aerated drinks and think it is absolutely okay to replace water with it to quench thirst. But sorry, that is you all are highly mistaken in that regard. Aerated drinks contain nothing but high fructose corn syrup, which is again a form of sugar, highly detrimental to immunity. In fact, you would need enough water to help flush it out of the system. So best is to avoid it and opt for plain water, which is in fact an important nutrient for the body, in terms of immunity and detoxification. In fact, you can flavor the water sometimes by infusing it with, say, lemon slices, mint leaves, adding sabja water, etc. Now coming to trans fat. They are found in food fried in refined or reused oil, margarine, cream biscuits, bakery items and so on, which cater to triggering inflammation. It is best to opt for organic, cold pressed or wood churned oils like coconut oil, groundnut oil, sesame or even mustard oil. Organic, ethically sourced A2 cow's ghee is good to go too. Also, please avoid reusing reheating oils. People mostly tend to reuse the oil used for frying, right? But please understand that reheating oil causes change in the temperature of the oil from hot to cold to hot again, which affects the chemical structure of the oil, making it more potent to cause inflammation in the body and thus lower immunity. So please avoid doing that. Also remember that burger or french fries from your favorite joint are all made in reused and refined oils. So let us be more aware of it as well. Now coming to non-veg or processed meat. So studies suggest that a food routine high in red meat such as beef, lamb and especially processed meats like sausages, hot dogs, salami, ham, bacon, almost if consumed daily, can increase the risk of CRC. So what is processed meat? Processed meat is basically the meat preserved by methods like smoking, curing, salting or adding preservatives. So best is to avoid such processed meats, and red meat consumption may be restricted to say once a month. Also these days these animals are pumped with antibiotics and hormones for their meat, which in turn can impact our hormonal system and immunity as well. Hence, we need to be aware of the same and opt for ethically sourced organic hormone-free meat, but of course in moderation. Next, coming to the fact that a food routine which is low in fruits and vegetables, fresh fruits and vegetables and whole grains further increases the risk of CRC. Hence, it is very important to have balanced meals in a daily routine. The next commonality, the fourth one, is lack of physical activity or movement and more of body fat. If one is overweight or obese with high body fat percentage, it increases the risk of developing CRC in both men and women. Hence, getting to and staying at a healthy weight is extremely important to lower the risk. Also, if you are not physically active, you have a greater chance of developing CRC. Regular physical activity and movement, depending from case to case of course, is very important. Now, one may say that I work out for 30 minutes in the day and rest of the day I'm sedentary. That's not being active. Along with 30 minutes of workout, you need to move at regular intervals through the day to keep up with blood circulation, which is very important in terms of immunity as well. It could be taking just a few steps every hour in the day as well, but that is very important. So on an average, to talk about it, one can gradually aim for 8 to 10,000 steps a day, but of course there are exceptions. The next commonality is, the fifth one, is deep-rooted emotional stress. Now again, how is stress related to CRC? Stress and colon, what's the connection? We cannot separate the mind from our body, be it our colon as well, and healing. Chronic deep-rooted emotions, suppressed emotions, ultimately tend to cause hormonal imbalance and thus, in turn they weaken immunity. And that's what the connection is. But, how does that actually happen? So, chronic stress leads to the levels of the stress hormone cortisol remain high chronically, which in turn decreases certain hormones which are required for our metabolism and immunity, and thus ultimately it decreases our immunity and making one more susceptible to colorectal cancer, CRC. We all, for that matter, have some or the other stress at every walk of our life, right? But it is very important to deal with these emotions the right way. Certain inexpensive and powerful tools like acceptance and letting go, having a dialogue to vent out those toxic emotions, positive visualization, affirmations, deep breathing are very important and have in fact proved to be beneficial in dealing with such emotions for many of our clients. So do try them for sure. The next commonality is lack of water intake. Such a common, such a simple thing, right? But it is a very, very important commonality which is seen in CRC as well. It is such a simple and important nutrient in itself, but often neglected as well. It is an extremely crucial nutrient not just for gut health and keeping the bowels clean, but to also keep up with one's immunity. It is thus very essential to keep yourself very well hydrated. You may want to keep up with an average of 2.5 to 3 liters of water and healthy fluid intake in total through the day. But of course, people with kidney issues or specific water restrictions need to abide by their specific instructions. Now coming to the next commonality, and a very interesting one, is imbalance of gut microbiome. There are several thousands of both good and bad bacteria in our gut. Lot of our health issues, right from poor gut health, indigestion, bloating, occurs when the ratio of these bad bacteria overpowers that of the good gut bacteria. Hence, for a healthy gut, it is always desirable for the good gut bacteria to overpower. These good gut microbes are called, probiotics that we all know, while the prebiotics are mainly specific type of dietary fiber that feed the probiotics in the gut. Example of prebiotics are onion, garlic, leeks, oats as well. But what happens is, having sugar, refined carbohydrates, processed food, they feed the bad bacteria, and hence all the more it should be avoided. With respect to CRC risk, these probiotics produce certain compounds which help protect the colon cells from harmful effects of chemicals, that we call carcinogens, or bad bacteria and so on, and they also help with building immunity through the gut and reduce inflammation in the body, which helps reducing the risk of cancer, or for that matter colorectal cancer. The simplest example of probiotics is rice kanji, wherein 1 to 2 spoons of cooked and cooled rice is soaked in water in a clay pot overnight and is consumed first thing in the morning. One may want to opt for a probiotic supplement as well, but do it under the supervision of your medical practitioner or your nutritionist as well. Coming to the next commonality, which is smoking. Smoking has been a well-known cause of lung cancer, but you would be surprised to know it's linked to CRC as well. Studies suggest that chronic smoking can affect the colon cells at the gene level, thus increasing the risk of CRC. This is true in case of passive smoking too. There was one such case I remember wherein the lady had cancer and she said, "But I don't smoke." And then it turned out that her husband was a chain smoker. So you see, even if you don't smoke but are surrounded by someone who smokes, you equally inhale those toxins. Hence, the best way to prevent this is to quit smoking for good. If you observe, there are these small little things which go unnoticed in our daily life, which in itself can be a contributing factor for such disorders. Hence, it is high time we become more mindful about the same. The next commonality is alcohol. Studies suggest that the metabolism of alcohol in our body can produce certain carcinogenic, meaning cancer-causing effects in the colon, thus increasing the risk of CRC. Hence, it is best to avoid alcohol completely. But these days, I come across many who raise their eyebrows on this statement. As for some, it is a way to socialize and so on. Of course, it is up to you to make the right choice. But in case it is not possible to avoid completely, then at least slow down on the consumption and have it in strict moderation. Also, alcohol tends to dehydrate our body, hence it is important to have a glass of water post each drink, and in fact have a glass of lemon water to help cleanse the body post alcohol to some extent. The next and the 10th key commonality is vitamin D deficiency. Several studies have now confirmed that optimum vitamin D levels in our body is crucial to not only help lower the incidence of colon cancer, but also reduce its recurrence and help with better overall survival of colon cancer patients too. It would be great to keep up with the levels through supplementation, but only after knowing your vitamin D level through a blood test and then checking for the right dose from your doctor. Soaking in some sunlight is important too. So these were the 10 key commonalities seen in case of CRC. Apart from these commonalities and lifestyle changes, you may also want to include certain specific foods in your routine to help with colon health and thus reduce the risk of CRC. These are the first being anti-inflammatory food and herbs like turmeric and black pepper, Sri Lankan rolled cinnamon, ginger, garlic, onion, and also the addition of certain herbs like oregano, thyme, sage in the routine, which can be beneficial for colon health. The other, as I said, is about probiotics and prebiotics that are also something which is very important to be added in your routine. The third one being resistant starch. So now what is resistant starch? It is a type of prebiotic starch of fiber which is basically resistant to digestion in the digestive system. Once it reaches the colon, it feeds the good gut bacteria, that is the probiotics, and increases the production of certain compounds called butyric acid, which is known to reduce inflammation and have a protective effect on the colon cells, thus helping in reducing the risk of CRC. Examples of resistant starch is raw green banana or its flour, or even cooked and cooled potato or rice. Even rice kanji is a good example of the same. In case of green banana flour, one can have about a teaspoon with water on an empty stomach or 30 to 45 minutes post meal once a day. You can visit our UK lifestyle website to get clean and organic raw banana flour, or for that matter any clean and natural products. So the key message I would like to give you all, or rather I would like you all to take from this session, is to truly value and take care of your gut health, which is very often neglected and taken for granted, which is very dangerous. Do it through taking care of these key commonalities and working on the 4 pillars of lifestyle, namely cellular nutrition, adequate exercise, quality sleep, and managing your emotional health. Because remember, how much ever costly or specific immunity boosting foods or supplements you may pop to supposedly reduce the cancer risk, but until your gut health is not fixed, nothing is going to work, because the basics are that all of these foods need to be digested and absorbed through the gut in itself, right, in the first place. So that is what the basics are. So let us be more aware of this fact too. So here I am done with my session. In case of any queries, please feel free to add them in the chat section and I shall answer them. Feel free to ask any questions if you have regarding this topic. Okay. Swani, right? Ma'am, can we drink tea and coffee at the timings? Swani, tea and coffee is something that is, that is something which has caffeine, right? Which can, if of course taken in moderation, that is fine. But if people have a habit of taking it for like 4, 5 or 10 cups a day, which is definitely detrimental, because again it will increase the acidic levels in the body and inflammation in the body as well. So that is something that you would need to take care of. So also there's a way of taking tea or coffee. In case if you really want to have it, you should avoid taking it on an empty stomach, because then it will again increase the acidic levels in the body. So always have either lemon water or a fruit to line your gut, your digestive system, and then about after half an hour or so you can enjoy your 1 cup of tea or coffee for that matter. But also remember, tea and coffee, they tend to dehydrate our body as well. So do not count tea or coffee as a medium of hydrating your body. In fact, it dehydrates your body, so you in fact need more water after having a cup of tea or coffee as well. So other forms of sugar could be, maltodextrin, cane syrup, high fructose corn syrup, others that I have mentioned in the session itself. So you can always look for these keywords while checking the food labels as well. Do we need to avoid dairy completely in CRC? So, so that is a very case to case thing that we need to consider. So, dairy for that matter is not the issue per se, but the way it is now, the cattle are given these antibiotics and hormonal injections to increase the yield, right? So, that is something, if that gets into our system, that also affects our hormonal balance and immunity for that matter, and that is how it can affect CRC. Having said that, milk inherently has casein as well, which is mucus producing. So sometimes, yes, in some cases of CRC, we may have to completely opt out of having dairy at all. But otherwise, you can opt for restricted amounts of dairy, especially in the form of curd or buttermilk for that matter, which in fact is a source of probiotic as well, but in restricted amounts in that case. All right, so I think I'm done with the questions as well. I hope I have answered all your questions, and in case if you still have other queries or further queries, you can put them in the chat section on the UK page. And also, if you would like to know more about our cancer care programs, you can visit the Coutinho.com website. It was really lovely connecting with you all. Thank you so much, and have a great evening ahead. Thank you.